I've been looking at the news all day today, and there's just all kinds of crazy things happening. Um, One of the things that kind of struck me was at this church's chicken, here comes a lady, and something wasn't right with her order. And we were just talking about chicken. And she gets upset, gets into an argument with the employee, and then shoots her dead. When she comes out, they have a cigarette break. I mean, what is wrong with the world where they're shooting people dead over freaking chicken? I mean, what do you guys think about that?
You're dealing with somebody who's mentally unstable, obviously, if they're going to take something to that extreme. And why did they wait until she came outside on a break? I mean, if you were that mad at the moment, why not just do it in this? I could see that's going to be a hard one for the defense attorney to try to defend his action or claim some type of temporary insanity, because this person had time to wait and then catch this person at, when she's out on a smoke break. And I mean, what, he didn't want to mess up the chicken, inside, don't want to get a mess in there because I still want to eat, but I'm going to, let me get this woman while she's having a smoke. You're dealing with somebody who's just not right, obviously.
And yeah, Zandy, what do you think about that?
I mean, like Phil said, I mean, obviously it's a mental issue, but I mean, the chicken, they're going to the place where the chicken's probably not real. I mean, it's, they're in the crab bucket part of the place. I mean, they don't have church's chicken like in a, affluent area. Who's going to buy that? You know what I mean? So everything, the poverty, all that, everything is all crammed into like one area to where, I mean, maybe, it's like, maybe the chicken is just a symptom, but I would, really lean towards mental, health, like, Phil said. So I just think that people are just, they can't pay the rent. They're getting too high. People get high or whatever conditions you're exposed to. And then if you can't come back from from a habit, or, you go fall down on your luck from a bad job or bad marriage, whatever your luck is, you end up on the street, whatever the reason, but I mean, most of it, once you're out there, it's like, so who knows, that person that shot him, maybe they probably were high, or, maybe, I mean, on something, or who knows.
Absolutely right. Dan Dean touched on something there, more than one thing, but whenever you run into somebody and they're in a bad mood, or they're acting completely off kilter, unreasonable, something you just think this person must be insane, you ought to pause and think, you don't know what that person just came from. They could have just came from like their mother died or something. You don't know. They could be having a day that you just can't even possibly imagine, but you're only seeing the outcome. You're not seeing the cause. And so I try not to argue with people anymore, because it's not worth my time, my energy, and I certainly don't want to get shot over something trivial.
I know. People are so quick to shoot that I mean, for some reason, this new time, I mean, people are just so quick to shoot. I mean, it's no fighting, it's no arguing. It's like, what's going on with that, Phil? I mean, that's another part of,
there's I was in California for 23 years. I've always voted Democrat. I'm sure I'll get some hate mail for that if anybody ever ends up watching this, but I don't give a shit. I was a United States Marine. I'm a patriot. They can kiss my ass.
And I heard that.
But hoorah. But there is a certain thing about like gun control. I've always kind of like been on the fence with it. Yeah, I don't think, you should be able to walk down the street with an AK-47, some type of open carry, dumb shit like that. But at the same time, if you want to have a weapon for self-defense or for target practice or for whatever you do and you're not hurting anybody, then yeah, I think a responsible adult should be able to own a weapon. In Florida, where I'm at now, they just passed a law less than a year ago, or maybe just around a year ago, to where anyone can conceal carry without a permit. So everyone in this state, almost, I'm sure there's probably a few that don't, but almost everybody in this state has a gun on them.
Wow, I can't imagine that. That's heavy.
It sounds terrifying,
but I mean,
at first, but the reality is that
people are going to carry guns if they're going to carry them anyway.
They're going to carry them anyway, but it also puts people on their best behavior. because you know what? Everybody realizes before I go and try to hurt this person because of road rage, they probably have a weapon. And so they think twice. And I don't
You know
I
what?
think there's something to be said for that.
No, you're spot on because a lot of times I stay in the country, and when I'm in the area like where it's with that, like say, like in Northern California, say near Lake Tahoe or somewhere like that. When you're up there, it's a known fact. Like you pretty much assume that every house up there has it because it's like bears, it's animals, and people are just like
Yeah.
they're a
It's the
bunch of
country.
armed. So yeah, So everybody up there, nobody's gonna, you can leave anything out. You can leave, toys, valuables, because people know. Like
It,
you're not gonna come on somebody's property because they're probably, so
it's almost like the theory of détente, right? Nuclear
yeah,
détente, where Russia and the United States did blow each other up because they each knew that they could, and everybody was cool.
yeah.
Hey Danielle, thank you for joining. I really appreciate it. Sorry you had some issues. Now you're on
Welcome.
mute, so if you could unmute yourself and introduce yourself, please do.
And Danielle, I want to introduce you to everybody first. You already know who I am, Paul Dale Roberts, aka the Demon Warrior. We have Bill, aka El Guapo, and we got Zandine Smith, the Paranormal Soul Brother. And we're here to interview Danielle Diva, who is a spiritualist, a direct descendant of Dracula. She's an author of a book. She's a podcaster. Gosh, just numerous things. So anyway, Danielle, go ahead and tell us about yourself.
Oh, thank you. First of all, thank you for the invitation. I'm quite honored to be invited by for you, Paul, and of course, meeting other two gentlemen. It's my honor. I'm quite happy to be here. And you said a lot about me already. So what I can say is I do study psychology and the nursing by my background. If you talk about education, I speak other 4 languages. I'm a Reiki Master and a wellness practitioner. So that's by the trade. I'm also an author, so I do write book. I have 2 books coming out, and in one of them is Mr. Paul Dale Roberts, but I'm honored to have him because he's actually going to be helping me out about 1 or 2 chapters in there talking about his experience with Count Dracula and the past about the Count Dracula. My second book, it's going to be with my partner in crime, the person that I call like my older brother, and that's Mr. Basically Texas Front Porch. So that's my big bro. We call him Big Tex. And then I wrote Magic of the Spirit League. This is a true story and survival in a fight for a life that I wrote after my mother did survive the 3rd stage of a cancer. I'm a born medium, 3rd generation, starting from my great-grandmother. And I am descendant of many people, including basically some of the people that you really know through the history. That would be the great Teresa from the monarchy. I'm really connected to the Austrian-Hungary monarchy and Napoleon Bonaparte. And my great uncle that I'm really fighting for in the book that's coming out, that's Vlad Tepes, were actually the Count Dracula. So that's a little bit about me. Yeah.
Now, Zandine, this is the first time that he's met you, so I bet you he has a couple questions there.
Well, I'm impressed because like
it will be my pleasure.
I'm impressed, and I'm thinking as you're telling me, as I'm listening, I'm thinking, what a bloodline, would have to be special to, to survive a person that has that many talents up to this point. Like it would make sense. Do you find yourself like when you're around people that don't have those talents, do you find yourself wanting to help them and do help, or do you sometimes because they might not understand all the things that you know? What do you do in those cases when you have so many gifts like that?
Oh, that's such a beautiful question, and thank you for the compliments. if we go from the gifts that I'm born with, I always feel that I wanted to help people, and was in the beginning was really hard because I couldn't understand the gifts myself. Being a child and seeing certain things, you need some support and somebody to guide you. And I'm really, really blessed that I had a wonderful mother that supported me through all of this, because she was raised in that kind of family of naturalists and healers. Myself now, as I'm becoming older, Mr. Smith, I can tell you, I feel even more stronger now that I wanted to help. I can touch a person and I can feel if they're ill, or if they're having a positive or negative energy. I can also feel, if they're having a bad day or something. So I may connect with you. I will say, you know what? This is what I feel you should do. But it's you. Sometimes it can be hard, because sometimes the news can be bad and sometimes the news can be good. But I feel always that I want to help as much as I can.
That's it. That's amazing. Okay, so you're really aware of your gift and really know how to use it. That's amazing.
Hey, Danielle, I believe you remember Phil.
Thank you.
From the sanitarium. Phil's dying to ask you all kinds of stuff.
Yes.
It's been a while.
Yes.
Nice seeing you again.
Sure, please go ahead.
Yeah, I remember we had a conversation.
Hello, Phil. I love the hat. How are you doing?
Thank you. I'm doing great. You look great. I remember we talked last time about a female medium.
Thank you.
That was blind, but was given another form of sight. You kept talking about it. I think it was right, a woman who was blinded as a child, and she became
Baba Vanga? Grandma Vanga? Yes.
Yeah, that's her. That's
Yes.
the woman.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. There was an alien. Was it an alien connection with her gift? Was that? Am I
Yes.
remembering it wrong?
Yes.
It's since nobody else on this podcast has heard that
No,
story.
you're actually remembering.
I love that. Yeah, that sounds interesting.
I know Zandine would find this interesting. Could you mind going through that? I knew you were just full of knowledge about it. You really knew a lot about it.
Yeah, I can tell you a little bit. Yeah. Yeah. So she's born Ana Gustera. So she actually, her Baba, what it means grandma. Most of the Balkan world uses word Baba, what it means grandma. She, as a child, was born in the normal family, and they were actually keeping, they were, for the, and basically was a huge storm. And at the time Ana Gustera was taking care of the sheep, the storm came and was a huge blizzard. Most of the, animals ran away, and she didn't know where to hide. She hid behind one of the bushes, but the storm was so strong and there was so much dust that it blew into her face. They said that she looked almost like she was under the sandblaster, something that we would use today for making the asphalt. And so she ended up being in a hospital, and they say she became legally blind. But at that time, she was under the trauma. She was a child, maybe 14, 15. And they said, by the way you were blind, they said no. And the doctor said, of course, how could I help you? And she said, no, they're capable of seeing many things, through the other side of the world. Yes, Fanga is really second, just like Michel de Notre Dame or Michel de Damos. Then she opened it. That was given to the dreams by angels, by some, let's say, spiritual religion that I believe in now. So this came also from a different planet. She explained that they look very similar to the tall gray, but they were not harming her. And she was capable of seeing World War II. She was capable of saying who will be a first American president, that will be African American gentleman. the towers after that horrible attack.
I think what made Baba Vanga notorious for her predictions is because they say that she predicted 9/11 and the coming of Barack Obama. And one of her predictions, which hasn't come true yet, and I'm still waiting for it, is she thinks that Putin is going to have an assassination attempt. So she's amazing.
He did have an assassination attempt.
He did, yeah. He did.
Yeah, Putin did Putin would regularly send out his driver without him in just empty cars. Yeah.
He did have it.
Oh, I missed that whole thing. So go ahead.
Yes.
Yeah. So
He had it.
There's video of it online, but this was a high-speed freeway. You could see Putin's vehicle traveling, but Putin wasn't in it. It was just his driver. And literally from the other side, almost through a guardrail, another car came across and hit it head on and killed the driver. But Putin wasn't in it. And that's just one of the attempts. There may have been others that the media didn't cover, but that one did make it through, and there's footage of it.
That one I totally missed. And I read the daily news all the time. Thank you, Phil, for that information.
No worries.
Whoa.
No worries.
Baba Vanga is something that people don't understand, but the truth, what it is, she's actually saying that we will have the World War III, and the World War III will happen in the stars. So that will be mostly, by like she was saying, these super machines that she couldn't explain. But this would be mostly like by artificial intelligence, by drones, by the rockets that were happening above in the sky, less than what is happening on the ground or on the Mother Earth. She also said, unfortunately, that in this world there will be the war will start around 3 to 4 years, and then when all of that technology goes up, that will be really hard to put it down, and there will be many lives lost.
Danielle, is she still alive or is she dead?
No, she passed away. She passed away in Bulgaria, because that's originally where she was born from. Bulgaria is a very poor country, and so she was healing herself mostly inside of the Belgrade. Capital city of former Yugoslavia, all those countries there. But when she was buried, she did write many, many books, and capable. And it looks quite interesting what we're gonna, face in coming days. I did do my own calculation about 2 years ago. I was interviewed by another podcast, and everything that I said actually came true, because I said there will be different kind of issues, in the world between different countries. Yes.
Danielle, your audio is just a little bit shaky. Phil is having a hard time getting some of the audio. I'm having a little bit. Zandine, can you hear her okay?
And I'm trying to see how to fix
It's really good information. I was, but it's the transmission.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I actually, do you guys want me to log in and log out? Because I can tell you all about the prophecy, how the world will.
But do you mind trying that, Danielle? Maybe that'll help.
Of course, I don't mind. I will try again.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, I'll do it again. No.
Okay, cool.
Awesome.
Well, hey, you guys, as you can see there, she's full of knowledge and everything else. One of the things I want to know is, I know she's been in Eastern Europe. I think she was born there.
Yeah.
In Romania. Did she ever go to Bulgaria where that psychic is and meet that woman, or,
Yeah. I thought she didn't mention that when I spoke to her at one point, but I honestly don't know. I think she may have actually been to the castle where Vlad Tepes, his castle still exists.
Okay.
So does his
I'm going to see that.
I'm also curious as to where she said she's a generational psychic, um, psychic from birth. And I think that's pretty interesting. Zandine, you touched on another podcast where you asked somebody where they get their power from or where their psychic, source comes from.
Yeah.
And I'm interested to see where Danielle's comes from, especially since it's hereditary, or it appears to be.
Yeah. I thought about that when you said that. Has she said anything to you about is she like genetically different, or is anybody trying to get after her for blood type or anything weird like that?
I have not heard anything like that, but it's apparently the gift runs in the family. So her mother, her grandmother, that type of thing.
And when did she learn that she was related to Dracula?
23andMe.
No, yeah. I know. I've actually had it done. Have you guys had it done?
Yeah, I've had it done.
Yeah. How about you, Zandine?
I've had something. My dad, my son, they're real big on all that, but I really don't.
And then
I had mine done with Ancestry.com.
Yeah, I had them both.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool.
It pretty much thinks I am what I am, what I mean?
Yep.
I mean,
and what's really interesting though is they hook you up with cousins and nephews and stuff.
That's true.
That you don't even know about.
Yeah, my son he found a lot of relatives and like long people that we didn't know whose father was this or that, and different last names. Like we thought one last name was one like and a dare for like many years, and then it turned out to be like a meteor or something. It's like totally did like it's just wow. Like
hey Danielle, we were just the reason why we're talking about ancestry is because we were discussing your ancestry. And Paul had a great question: is that when did you discover your relation to Vlad Tepes?
Yeah, we knew about this, and I don't mind saying like it's safe. So, okay, can you hear me, guys?
Yes.
Yes.
Because I have like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, okay. Just sure. So this came through my family, but a lot of times my family suffered their communism time, and many of us has been taken away. Our own school that was called White. He's not like killed, but just got killed. Was up, and basically that's actually a grandfather. So most times, the fact it's and they kept the traditions, the culture, and beliefs to themselves. Many of them scatter all around the world. That's why a lot of states all around Europe, and so it is there a long time. But I was a child. I was 1980s. Treated have been still basically the DNA. And that was really expensive back home in Europe when I was a child. Did a couple years ago to the Ancestry.com. And actually, my mother was the first one who did it. And the reason why we did it, because we knew everything was coming through her line. And we didn't know about Nicola Copernicus, for example, that he's also very close to us. But when you see it's all connected to the same Austro-Hungary, there's some Irish and British, and then, of course, you have the Romanian. But I don't have, what is quite interesting, I don't have any other blood that it's, even the country that I'm born with, it's not connected to the origin where I'm coming from. It's basically because the people were running away, escaping from the communism at that time and being scattered all around to the Europe. But yeah, it's been Phil in my family for a long time. And just in 2022, 2021, we actually get originally the paper from the Ancestry.com. So that's how it came.
Hey, Danielle, I got to tell you something.
I'm confirming.
We're going to be cut off. We're going to be cut off really quick. So don't panic. We're going to get another link so we can finish up the interview.
Yeah, I just sent off that link.
Okay,
This
no problem.
this one's gonna end in about 5 minutes, but I want to use every bit of the 5 minutes, especially because your audio sounds good at the moment.
It is good.
We'll take advantage of it.
Thank you.
Yeah, we were also discussing, or I had a question about the source of your gift. You said it's generational. I assume you mean your mother and your grandmother, or and
Yes.
it's from birth.
Yes.
Without
Yes.
I don't know what you can or can't divulge, but could you just tell us a little bit about it?
Yeah. So basically, like I said, it started when I was a child, and some of the visions in the beginning were not that pleasant because I was capable of seeing, people dying in my dream. And I will say that to some of my family members, and they would be very angry at me. They would call me a witch, and especially, being raised in an Orthodox family, this is more like a Christianity. She's a very bad person. She's bringing a bad karma. More from my father's side than was from my mother's side, because my mother's side knew what was it. My own father got really angry at me once when we came to Canada. I was maybe, I don't want to lie to you, 16 or 17, and we were going to the lake, and I dreamt that the car will be steamed up. And so I didn't know what was it. And I said to my mom, please, let's not go. And the belt on the car, it was like a minivan burning, and he yelled at me, and he called me a witch, and my mother got really angry at him. But I can see the things when people pass away, or when the people who have a good things. I knew my uncle would, for example, have a baby daughter, and then when everybody was bidding, I said to my mom, bid that her name will be Milana, not Milan, because it's gonna be a girl. So they said, no, you have a Danielle, it's not fair. So I can see good things and I can see bad things. Sometimes they joke with me here and they say Daniel is like a Canadian Edgar Casey. So I'm capable of seeing many visions and things through my dreams. I feel the energies. I can read the cards. Tarot cards is something that runs through the family too. We read corn. That's something very traditional that is done inside of the entire Balkan. So you will have the corn, regular corn, and you read it. So that way you can see the future and the past. I can connect with past lives and what can happen in the future. A lot of times when I do the astral traveling, I cannot guess where I'm going to go, gentlemen. I was capable of seeing the things inside of the lady that wrote the book also about me, Miss Anne. She was actually advisor to Mr. Biden. And I'm inside of her book. And I told her, please, don't go across the bridge. Don't go across the bridge. And she said 3 months after that, they contact me again. She goes like, Daniel, I remembered you. Just before she was going to go that way, there was an earthquake and that bridge collapsed. So I told her that 6 months in advance. And I was interviewed by many different shows like Coast to Coast, Global, and it wasn't done that for the money. I don't do it for the money. I do it because I want to help people. I found some missing people too, if I can connect or I can say they're dead and alive. And there was more than a couple cases that I did solve. And I was in a Sean Graham show too when we were solving the mystery of a girl that was actually missing. But I told them she's not missing. Unfortunately, she was violated and she was dead. And so I said the same. About a couple months ago, there was another family that sent me the message through my brother, Big Texas, and I told them everything about it, and I said where to go. I didn't charge any money, and I didn't do it for the money. Neither did my great-grandmother. She said many people, when they were in concentration camps, many of my family members were, and the reason why, she said, this is the gift that I can save people, so I do it the same way. So, but it's a curse and a gift. So when people say it's always a gift, it's not always that pleasant.
It's the corn thing I found really interesting because corn's a new world crop. It originally comes from South America. So
Yeah.
that tradition can only be maybe 500 years old tops, right? So I'm just curious. Could you tell a little bit more about it anyway? I'm interested.
I'm looking if I have it here or if it's upstairs. I have it at the upstairs.
That's okay.
Oh, I have it here. Are you okay if I grab it?
Yeah, go ahead, please.
Show you. Yeah,
please.
No problem. Yeah. Okay. So I have nothing magic about it. I'll show you. It's just regular cord.
Okay.
And basically, it's inside of the jar. And what do you do with it? So you would take it in your hand, and they're saying that you say nothing bad. You will say the name of a person. And as you concentrate, the way, and there's a red cloth that I have. Red is like against spirit and bad power and protect. It's like protecting against the evil eye. And you would toss it there, and it depends how does it fall down. So, but this is just a
Popcorn.
regular corn. It's taken from the corn. Nothing special about it. Prior to that, they used to read beans. So we do the same. So I think they said it like the same because like beans, but people, are coming after. So that's what I'm thinking, but this one, it came after the Ottoman Empire. But the one with the beans started even before.
Is there anything with bones? I've heard of voodoo or Santeria, or some people actually using bones to reading the bones type of thing.
That, I don't know how my great grandmother did do that. I don't know. Yes, I don't know how to do that one. I'm not gonna lie, because I was raised in the city, and I wish my great grandmother was alive. She would be capable of teaching me many things. I think I picked up more than anybody else in my family. But one day I made my mother being attacked by the spirit because she's so close to me. So let's say you have a sheep. This is very common. And you come to me, but you must be owner of this sheep. So you're the one who were raising the sheep, feeding it, give the water and everything. So when the sheep is slaughtered and, the feast is done, so they will take basically the vertebrae. And as they take the bone, they'll be capable of seeing, what kind of, let's say, year you will have. If there's a birth, if there's a marriage, if there's an illness. And the list goes on, but the sheep must be yours. I must be honest, I always joke when we have a lamb, because lamb is a very traditional for the Christmas, that when we celebrate the Christmas, that's really a part of the, a feast that we use. But none of us know how. But my great grandmother did. So that's what I can tell you. But that's true. It does exist.
Yeah, incredible.
Paul, you're on mute.
Danielle, I'm sorry about that. Okay. Hey, you're like a big animal lover, animal advocate. How did you get in tune with animals? Is it because of your psychic abilities?
Okay, I'm going to tell you something that, yeah, thank you. Yeah, I do love animals, and I was raised always with animals. And right now, I call her my daughter. It's Maggie, and everybody that knows Maggie is my life. Like, I love her just as much as I love my son. So I call them my children. I also have a parrot. It's a cockatiel. We have finches. And back home, we also had a cat. So I was really raised always around different animals. And on the farm, my grandpa had turkeys and just like all the farm animals. So basically, when I was little, I was connecting more with the animals than I was connecting with humans. quite amazing, Paul, what question you brought on. And I think a lot of times, because I was different, kids couldn't understand me.
And Danielle, do you believe that animals have souls?
Uh, and that's another thing. Animals do have souls. Everything that breathes in and breathes out has a soul. When they pass away, they're always around us. They come in dreams. They may come, go like, oh, I felt somebody touching me. You may hear the chirping of the birds. As humans come closing and opening the doors, animals usually come in their own bodies. So they don't come in a different kind of shapes and auras. But they're always around us. They may even warn you about something that is going to happen, or they may send, like they're saying, a friend, that's going to be just like them because, they're missing them. But every animal has a soul. Before, us being raised as a Christian, you must understand, look at every monastery. Every monastery has a cat or a dog, and they're part of that household. And the reason why, because animals are also created by the power, by the God above. So I think, and not that I think, 99% I stand behind it. Every animal and every living thing has a soul. Yeah. But I love animals. Maggie was the first one that helped me run away from my, I was here, I was in my bed, and it's a big master bedroom, and she sleeps with me. And at that moment, she started growling, and I felt the entity coming, and I was like, is this possible that she can see what she put, that like defense mechanism? She was just standing, and she started growling. And I look at her, I'm like, Maggie, you can see it too? And she was really, really angry. So, but that's what I'm saying, that, animals can feel the souls. They can feel the bad energy, negative. They can see if we are good people or bad people. So, of course, every animal has a soul.
You want to know something? Phil has 7 dogs, if I remember right.
Yes.
7 dogs and 2 cats.
6 dogs and 5 cats.
There we go.
Well, I have 6 cats.
Yay!
Yeah, I have a zoo. My own little petting zoo.
What's beautiful.
Thank you.
Danielle, I wanted to
Your
ask
little
you.
petting zoo.
I like animals more than
Yes.
people most of the time. Sorry, Zindi.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. I was just wondering, Danielle, have you been abducted or have you had any kind of alien contact?
Oh, I had only one. Most of the time when I'm connected, I'm going to be honest with you, I see dwarfs, I see shadow people,
Okay.
brownies, entities, spirits, and ghosts. I had only one experience that was connected to that, and I hope it never repeats again. I'm not a person who would make up the story, and when I talk to my family about that, I will never forget that. I was sleeping in my bed. It was a very heavy day. I was working at U of A, University Hospital of Alberta. I came back home. So lots of times, I forget also sometimes about my gifts because I take care of the patients. I think about what their needs are because I change different hats. And as I came, I went to the bed. I took a shower, and all around, maybe, I don't want to lie to you, my friend, was maybe around 2:30 a.m., 2:45. I felt pressure. And first I felt somebody sitting on my chest. So I thought maybe it's Maggie because, she's Maltese. So sometimes she moves around. Or maybe, I don't feel well. Is it that I'm feeling like a chest pain? And then I felt like I'm pinned to the bed. And I couldn't move. I was totally paralyzed.
Okay.
And all what I remember, I saw these 2 creatures, and they shuffled something into my mouth. It was a squeak. And I couldn't move. I couldn't move for quite a long time. And I woke up. I woke up. I was awake, but I was frozen because I was paralyzed. I couldn't move. And then basically after that, I took a shower. I look at the time, was after I remember. Well,
Danielle, that's called the old hag syndrome, which causes partial paralysis that you experience. And there's a lot of people, a lot of my investigations, people have experienced the old hag syndrome, where something feels like it's sitting on your chest, is trying to sometimes suck out your soul through your mouth or places something into your mouth. That's what you're describing.
Also, Paul, I knew a family in the 90s that lived, I interviewed, they lived in near Sunnyvale, near Lockheed, and two of the brothers, they would be in their 50s now. Two of the brothers said the same thing.
a.m. I never. It was horrible. Mr. Smith, I experienced lots of times sleep paralysis, especially if when I was younger. Now I know how to send them away. And one day I sent them to my mother. It was horrible, and I still feel guilty. So basically, I know now how to block them. It's the truth.
Yeah.
I know how to block them. And basically, they would go away. But what's happening, and I always have a light. So there's always a light around me. I must have somewhere a light that, I fight because I'm always open. Yeah, and that night I went to the bed, and then in the morning, my mother got up and she goes to me, do you know, I can see she's stressed out. This is a, 67-year-old woman, raised the kids, a grandma, a good soul. And she goes to me, you know what happened to me last night? And I'm like, what? She goes like, I think they were looking for you. They came to my bedroom, and I felt like they were lifting up the bed and spinning me around.
Wow.
And she said, I felt so angry, and I pushed him down. But I did the same to my sister.
Yeah.
So I feel bad because when I push them away, then they go and hunt for other people because they come to talk to me, or they come to basically communicate to me or feed with me, play with my energy. And then now that but when I was younger, I would scream and I would run away, and it was nothing pleasant. But now I know how to block them, and I'm very careful about that. And sometimes I feel guilty. Mr. Smith, sometimes these big shots, the producers, and they go to me, oh, I would love to feel what you feel. Can you make me do that? I said, no, you don't want to feel, but I feel, because it takes a long time to control it. So it's not like a movie time. I'm going to flip the channel. I'm not going to see you anymore. But yeah,
movie time.
Pretty, I love what you're saying. It's pretty crazy. It's very, very, yeah.
Danielle, you wrote a book called The Magic of Spirit Lake. Can you tell us briefly about that book?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I wrote that book because it's a true story, and the book can be found on Amazon. And the reason why I'm saying that, anybody who is looking for a healing connection with the higher power, that book is all about the healing, connecting, and having a hope, faith, and love. My mother did have a rectal cancer, stage 3 in 2017. For almost 5 years, we fight that demon the best we can. The truth is, Dr. O'Connor, who's actually her doctor, said, if you can see how to save the life, you try and find. My hands were tied, even as a nurse. I was just looking at going through chemo, radiation. It was horrible. And then one of my friends told me, why don't you go, Daniel? He's a medicine man. Why don't you go and check out, Vanakami? And I go like, what is Vanakami? He goes like, oh, it's an ancient lake where Nakota people, you in States guys have a Lakota, we have Nakota, where people heal themselves. And it's proven, people get healing there. So I took my mom there. She bathed in the water. I went many times and I prayed. I light the candles. I offer tobacco. There's also a church there because after the pioneers came, they started connecting with Aboriginal people. And even John Paul II pronounced it as a holiest place in Canada. We also had a Pope visit just about a couple months ago. He was also there. And my mom got healed. And the entire Breast Cancer Institute didn't have explanation why. So I said to the lake one evening, and Paul knows that's in one of my chapters, I said, please heal my mother, and I will make the world know about you and your name. And that's still the most beautiful place where people can go and anybody is looking for healing. I recommend them visiting the Magic Lake Wanakami or Lac de St. Anne.
Oh, wow. That's inspiring. That's incredible.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Good, man. So glad your mother was doing better. Yeah, that I was gonna ask you
She's
about
healed.
that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you got time with her. Do you what else has changed since that healing? Like as far as how you guys live your life or things you do together, what's changed since then? The lake. And then, by the way, congratulations for taking your mother there.
Oh, thank you. We became even more spiritual, and my mother and myself, we are closer than ever before. We've been close before. This is like really, we can say, like a one soul inside of the two bodies.
Okay.
And I should be born actually on my mother's birthday. I'm born December 17, but I should be born December 21st, and her birthday is December 21st. So I was almost born on her birthday. And the truth, what is, we go to the lake constantly. I've been there just on Saturday. We're looking to get a little cabin there and, just go in and out constantly and enjoy. We are more spiritual than ever. We try to spread the word about healing, power, and love, but also say to people never to lose a hope, because power of prayer, power of love and faith is stronger than anything.
And so, man, that's beautiful. What a turnaround. Wow. Okay. Well, thank you. Thank you for sharing that.
Have you ever seen a movie called Talk to Me?
You're welcome.
The
Yes.
horror movie. You have
Yes.
seen that? Yeah, I was just wondering if you've ever experienced anything even close, not necessarily touching a dead hand, but even maybe another living person to where you had that type of intense experience.
Many times, I had experiences that I cannot explain. And I think a lot of times people, when they do the movies and things like that, they don't want to share the reality. And that movie was a little bit maybe close to many things that happened to many people that had a gift or they were gifted from the above. What I can say, when I went to the lake, I can tell you that the first time I felt that I was touched by something, and I don't know by what. There was a higher power there. I felt the energy the entire body, and that's a sacred ground by Lakota people. So this is nothing that it's hidden. It's written all around the world. Another thing that I can say, I felt a lot of time that I'm touched by the other powers that made me who I am today. And I see the things and connect to the things that, make me help people and heal people or, reach out. I feel forgive and forget a lot. But once when I see through my dreams that I don't need to forgive or forget, I'll just walk away. Or sometimes there's, like you're saying, being touched. I'll be also touched in the way to say, cut off it.
You mentioned, helping out in a missing persons type case. Was that the police that you helped in that situation? And how many times have you done that? I really find that interesting.
Yes. So that was with, I was on a show with Mr. Sean Graham. at that time. And basically, so what we did, we were doing blood meetings. And sometimes that what they would do was send the report, and then I would send the report to them, and then they would give that to the police. So they found more than a couple clues, and that were connected with the basically taking a life of this innocent woman. I never saw them. I never been in that part of the States. I never met them in my life. I would describe they had a sunglasses, for example. They had a baseball hat. This is how they walk. There is a club or a bar on that side. There's a hill. So I really go into it and I look into the picture. So he would send me a picture or just a little detail about it. And that's when I would go, and I would use also my cards. And then I would go deep into it and I would connect. And what I see, I would always tell you.
I was about to ask you what the whether you touched a piece of their clothing or something personal, but I guess just a picture is enough for you to be able to connect that way.
Yeah, it was. For example, I never saw the family because they were connecting with our show, and I was guest there more than a couple times, and basically they would send me the story, and sometimes they would even just say the name, and I would describe what happened. And I said, this is what happened, this is what happened. And the last case, when I sent the letter through the Texas front porch, it was quite, I can say, tense and really dark to describe what happened to the young female. But my crew sent a letter back and I said, if they need anything, let me know. But I don't ask for any personal clothing. I don't ask for, people are really weird sometimes, if I'm asking you, that means you are giving me the lead, right, Phil? But if I'm telling you, just give me the name, or give me the picture, and then I'll go and I'll tell you. So I was capable, for example, saying in one of the cases, nobody knew, but I said this young female was probably living a little bit of life on the edge. They go like, oh, and I'm like, this is what happened, this is what happened. So I would kind of maybe sometimes discover the things that are not really pleasant, but that's why then I contact through my team and I'll tell them what happened, because it can be quite private that, disclose everything directly onto the podcast. And when they were sending that to the sheriff, of course, it was sent in the private way, because you don't want to say this person who was involved in this looks like this, or there's a bar that was like this, like this, like this. So I try also to keep it very private.
Sensitive information, whether you're dealing with a family or not wanting to, potentially contaminate a police investigation. Yeah. Paul, you look like you're chomping to ask something. I don't want to hog Danielle the whole time we have her.
No, what kind of mystifies me is that there's a multitude of psychics that have been asked, like, who is Jack the Ripper? Who is the San Francisco Zodiac? Who is D.B. Cooper? And all these psychics, and some of them, even like Sylvia Brown, they give you these ideas like who they could be, but then they're all wrong. Those three people have not been identified. Why is that? Do you know, Danielle, why three major criminals, Jack the Ripper, Zodiac, and D.B. Cooper, how come no one can identify them through psychic means?
I will be honest, straight here on your guys' show for the first time, I'll say, for me, I'm going to say it forward, Jack the Ripper, it was nobody else but, Duke himself. I'm standing behind that 100%. I said it out loud on Sean Graham, the show. I said that when we were doing Infamous Minds, because I do crime series too. So it's Duke himself. I see him. I see his, the way he carry himself. And also there's something that is connected with the crown.
He was the crown. When you say Duke, you mean the Crown Prince of England at that time? I've heard that theory.
Yeah. 99.9%, and it could be, not it could be, but I'm saying he is the Jack the Ripper. But either the friend, there's a person who is a lord in him, like somebody who can be a lord, or somebody who was studying with him, and he was assisting him. He wasn't alone, but there's two people involved. But Jack the Ripper is Duke himself, and that's why a lot of times the stories are hidden, because this is a big thing for any royal family to have something, pinned to them like that. And so that's why they're hiding it. But maybe people were scared to say it, Paul. We're in 21st century, so I'm going to openly say, who do I think it is? When you're talking about the Zodiac passed away a long time ago. All those nonsense. He was a military person. He was a gentleman who was in the military. He died probably in his 70s. So he's passed away by now. But I can tell and he has a letter P in his first or last name. Letter P. I can tell you that. And if I don't know how to draw, gentlemen, if I knew somebody how to draw, I can even tell you. And who is the third one that you wanted to know, Paul?
Oh, D.B. Cooper.
So you said Jack the Ripper's.
D.B. Cooper. D.B. Cooper. He's the guy that
Shot the plane.
Yeah, out of an airplane with all his money.
Why is there victims that were students? Something is connected with the school. Or was
yeah.
Why? I don't know why immediately I see the school. Either was connected with teaching, or did he slaughter first some students? That was the beginning, but there is something connected with the school. He is a gentleman around maybe 100 and maybe 80 pounds, broader shoulders, so a little bit, bigger guy. He liked to wear black, and he had to wear a lot of times like a black hoodie. And I can tell you, there is something with a young boy. There is a young boy beside him, maybe around 12 or 13, so a young child. But that young child was victim to many things. It's almost like he was teaching him. But that child did continue to be a serial killer. So this is not that, it's generational. This person is coming from area probably of California, south part. Because I see California, I see the coast. So it's coming from that area. Why do I see school and the students? It could be that he was a teacher, or was he inside of the school before he started? But his first victim was in his 20s, maybe 22, 23. But if I dig a little bit deeper, I can tell you more about it, because I work on Jack the Ripper, and I knew exactly who he was. And for Zodiac, I can even tell you how he looks. He's around 6'1", 6'2", a straight military cut. In his 40s, he started really bad kill, but he was mentally ill. There's something connected. It's almost like he has PTSD. He's mentally ill, but unfortunately, and he wasn't capable. The reason why he was studying and he kind of hated the couples, I'll be honest to you, is because he couldn't be performing as a man, and that's why he was going after. That was his thrill. After he does do that, he will kill them, because he wasn't capable of being a man with a female.
Well, that's interesting.
That's interesting. But that makes just about the teacher thing. I mean, like, if he was smart enough to do it like that, and then having an accomplice, where they really couldn't pinpoint it. And that is like kind of what it looked like from the descriptions they had back in. Because I lived in San Francisco when I was stabbed, and they put out sketches, and she sounded spot on. She's really, sounds like she's seeing them.
I think we're talking about different cases.
D.B. Cooper, but she's...
Yeah, well, the D.B. Cooper didn't kill anybody. He just stole some
No,
money
I think
and
you
jumped
went
out of a
back
plane.
to
They
yeah.
did, well, the Zodiac too, but I think Danielle might be touching on another California serial killer, of which there are many.
Oh, okay.
Like, for example,
Okay.
they just caught the Golden State killer.
Yeah.
Within the past, that was 2-3 years
Yeah.
ago, Paul. Just
Yeah.
Joseph D'Angelo. But there are still. I mean, I think the FBI said that at any given time within the United States there are 50 active serial killers, and there are literally tens of thousands of unsolved crimes, hundreds of thousands of missing people that are never found and are still being looked for. So yeah, I think Danielle's touching on one right now that I can't name, but it sounds dead on. It sounds real to me.
Honest.
And go ahead. Yeah.
Was kind of interesting when they caught the Golden State Killer. I said, I have to drive up to his house. And I drove up to his house. That guy had a beautiful, beautiful lawn. And the neighbor said he spent a lot of time on his garden.
He was a cop. He was a cop. He was a member of, he got away with murder for most of his adult life. And it wasn't until DNA became a thing, like the 23andMe or the Ancestry.com.
Yeah.
And the public database is what caught him, which is fascinating. I'm sure he never imagined in his wildest dreams that something like that could have finally caught up to him. I think it was funny, though, like most killers are extremely manipulative people. Just a few weeks before he was arrested, he was out riding his motorcycle around the neighborhood through town. And then as soon as they arrest him and you see him in the wheelchair in the courtroom, he's like this, looking like he can't function. It's like, come on.
Yeah, man.
It's a con, man.
Phil, as a behavior intervention specialist and somebody who's been a field trauma, intensive care and everything, and now being really connected with mental health, I can tell you most of the serial killers or the killers that we have, they do have many issues with mental illness. Like many are narcissistic, sociopath, psychopath. They come from schizoaffective or schizophrenic behavior. And usually that's not the one, diagnosis. There will be the list that are connected on. And when we do Infamous Mind, basically that's what I deal. So Tex would be the one talking about the case, and I would present the scenario of basically upbringing, why, what are basically the red flags, if there was abuse of animals, abuse of siblings, and the list goes on. Yeah. So we try to basically aware people around certain things, and help them out to realize what's out there. Sometimes I wonder, when I see certain cases, I'll be honest to you, and I'm not allowed to talk about, I go like, are we safe? I'm being honest to you. And you go like, is this possible? It's happening in 21st century. Unfortunately, it is. And when you see some of the horror movies, my sister always laugh. And I go like, this looks very realistic to me. And they'll say, take you to this and this hospital. So they may a little bit kind of change it to make it a little bit more spooky. But that's how the new beds are, built, where different things on the building need to be fixed. So they'll get some money for, upgrades, but, the patients would be hidden. But unfortunately, we do have serial killers, and most of them are sociopath, psychopath, with many diagnoses. Some are genetic, and some are from trauma, or some from the together complex of
nature and nurture.
And what's so amazing about these horror movies are
exactly.
They're usually based on true stories. Like The Strangers is based on the Manson clan, Teddy cabin murders, and Silence of the Lambs, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Psycho was based on Ed Gein, which was a serial killer. So you have all these great movies. Even Freddy Krueger, that's based on
Yes.
and that these people were having nightmares and dying in their sleep.
Truth is stranger than fiction.
Yeah.
I don't want to cut this off, but unfortunately, we're down to about the 2.5 minute mark. I really want to thank Danielle for coming on. And if there's any type, and if you have whatever your newest book is out, or where we can hear your other podcast with Big Brother Tex, please let everybody know. We'd love to hear it.
Thank you. Yeah, so I am on the Texas front porch, and you can see me there every Saturday, Infamous Minds, with Mr. Tex. So we are holding a great show every Saturday about the serial killers and many different kind of abuse, violence, and awareness. So we're trying to help out there. Divas Dimension, it's every Monday, basically from 6 to 7 Mountain Time. And we are there doing all different kind of things, from live readings up to most haunted places, Bigfoot. Paul comes a lot of times, talks about the paranormal investigation. We have great guests, and we go deeper into different dimensions. My book can be found on the Amazon, and it's called The Magic of the Spirit Lake. I hope the people that read it are inspired and find hope, love, and faith, and just get stronger when they need some support. And another thing, you can find me on Facebook and, connect to me if you need anything. It'll be my pleasure to help out. But I enjoy being your guest, gentlemen. I had an amazing time.
Very interesting.
Thank you. It was wonderful.
Gifted.
Thank you very much.
My pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you, Danielle. Have a great night. Hope to have you again on, sometime soon.
Thank you, gentlemen. You have a wonderful night. And thank you for, having me on. Mr. Smith, nice meeting you. Phil, I love the hat. Paul, bro, I'll see you soon. Thank you very much. Enjoy the evening.
Good night.
All right.